Yeah, I've had girls send me really, really nice messages to say that they're so grateful that I've even started sharing, because if I didn't start sharing, then they wouldn't have known that they needed to think about those types of things in life, which I think for me, that's my goal, right, is to share so I can plant a seed, and I'm not the answer, but they need to go and look for what the answer is, because it's not a one-size-fits-all.
This is Down to Earth Conversations, where we hear from ordinary people who are helping to bring a bit of heaven down to earth. Kia ora. Welcome to another episode of Down to Earth Conversations. I'm the host of the podcast, Andy Dixon. Thanks for joining me. If you're new to the podcast, a special welcome to you. The gist of it all is that there are some awesomely ordinary people living their lives in a way that make a difference in the world, or as I like to say, helping to bring a bit of heaven down to earth. If you like this episode, please share it with friends and family, post it to your socials. Your recommendations are the way this podcast is growing, and so I appreciate all of those who have shared episodes already. Today I have the pleasure of sharing my conversation with Courtney Manu. Courtney is your typical mum, wife and business owner who just happens to have 13,000 followers on Instagram. And she built that following around helping people become aware of ways to become confident with their finances, beginning by sharing her and Sam's own journey out of debt. We talk about social media, debt, vulnerability, investment, generosity, and how family fits into all of this. It's another fantastic conversation. This is episode 35 of Down to Earth Conversations. Here's Courtney Manu. Kia ora, Courtney Manu. Good to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, good to be here. I'm quite excited.
Why don't you start by telling us, who is Courtney Manu?
Cool. So, I don't know. I wear a few different hats, but I guess the normal everyday Courtney Manu is a mum. I've got 3 kids, a 7, 5, and a 1.5-year-old. I have been married now for 8 years to a wonderful tradie man who works very hard. We own our own small business in the beautiful Manawatu. So we're in the plastering trade, so construction. And previous to us having our small business, both of us worked full-time, just your average Kiwi family. I'm part Fijian, so culture is a massive thing for me in my house. Cool. We weren't brought up quite cultural, but we try to emphasize that and learn from our parents now what we didn't learn back then and teach it to our kids. And then obviously now I've got a bit of a platform that I'm trying to grow, or have tried to grow over the years, sharing about financial literacy and capability. So yeah, I suppose in a nutshell, those are a few things about me. I'm sure we'll learn more as we go.
Yeah. Like you say, you've got a bit of a platform, you've got a social media following, and people get into that for all sorts of reasons. Or, there's people doing makeup tutorials, there's, that gain big followings, things like, or what did you put forward that got people interested?
Yeah, cool. So originally, I've actually been doing it for like years. Originally, I started off just sharing like your normal mum content. I was a young mum. Yep. Well, I thought I was a young mum, pregnant at 19, and kind of like trying to work out what I was doing, who I was. I worked full time. Both of my oldest 2 kids, I worked from pretty much when they were like 12 weeks old, because back then the parental leave policy was quite small and not in favour of mums. So my husband was a stay-at-home dad for our oldest child. So I started sharing, what it looked like to be a full-time working mum with very young children. Nothing really cranked off then. I suppose there were lots of mums doing that, and that was fine. I wasn't in it for fame, or I wasn't in it to do anything like that. I was just in it to be relatable. Yeah, so that's how I started. But then my husband and I, we got married, and I think we started to realise that actually with children comes responsibility. So we had to kind of quickly move quite fast and make some life decisions that kind of were either going to make us or break us, I guess, as adults. And so we, a little late in our married journey, I think maybe 2 years in, we decided to do a money management course at Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. And when we did it, I realised, oh my gosh, there's so much information in this course that is lacking in terms of just being out there on general platforms.
Yeah.
Like no one's talking about getting ahead or being financially capable or how to do it or where to start. And it's really putting a lot of people on the back foot because, I mean, I didn't get it in high school. I don't know about yourself, Andy, but yeah, I definitely didn't get it in high school. And being a young mum, I think if I'd had some information earlier, I would have known how to deal with some things in life a lot earlier, and maybe becoming a mum or becoming a wife all at the same time wouldn't have been so stressful. So I started sharing, and within a year, I pretty much went from like 700 followers to just over 8,000, and it grew quite quickly. I didn't really know how to cope with it or what to do or how to deal with it, because I think for me it was less about the fame. You can't really call it fame. It's not that many people, but how do I put it? It was less about having so many people follow me and more about the responsibility of having that many people follow me and the type of information that I'm sharing. Yeah, like I really wanted to make it meaningful. I wanted to make it educational. I wanted to make it informative. I wanted to be an inspirational person that people could look to for not advice, because I can't give financial advice, but an opinion on how people can get ahead and how we can all get ahead together, because I'm a massive believer that if I'm going to get ahead, I can actually take all my friends that want to go with me. We can all get success together. It doesn't have to look the same. But if I can share some of my knowledge and we can all move, in the same direction, we might get there at different stages and different phases in life, but we can all get there at some point. And so I think for me, that's when things started to take off and the momentum started to grow, because I think people could tell that I was genuinely in it and I always have been and always will be. I'm genuinely in it to see people thrive. I'm genuinely in it to see people get ahead. And I try to do justice to that, albeit since I had Eden a year and a half ago, there's been a lack of content, but it'll come back. It'll get
Which
there.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah. Young ones are hard.
Yeah. I love the whole ethos of that. It's not about how many followers you've got, but it's about what you use your platform for. And I guess that's the same as I'm trying to do with the podcast, that yes, I'd like more people to follow it, but not because that will give me an ego, but because actually then I just am able to encourage more people,
Exactly.
That and be a help to more people. And
exactly.
And I even watching your content, I can see that in you as well, that actually this isn't about you being some sort of famous celebrity. This is about you going, actually, I feel like I've got something to offer here. And actually I can see a gap where there isn't someone offering this sort of stuff. And you're right. Like I mean, high school, I don't think we really ever talked about money. Not that I can remember anyway.
Same.
I mean, I used to work in tertiary education on a sport degree, and we would have assignments where students would have to work in groups and they would have to come up with a budget for a particular project and things. And just watching so many of them look like they were barely treading water because they had no idea what to do. And that's at tertiary level, and thinking, well, why don't we teach this stuff to our kids? Why isn't this something that's normal or that's part of our education program?
I still struggle to understand why. Like, I mean, I understand why we have all the primary subjects that we have in high school, and I totally get that. But I still struggle to understand, even now, why there's no importance of it, given our poverty levels in New Zealand, given the demographics that we've got in New Zealand and the amount of people that require support. It still baffles me that we don't have even like a short-term course or a terms paper that allows students to study this stuff to become financially capable so that they can move into the world with even a tiny bit of confidence. I know we're working towards it as a nation, but it's just not quick enough, and with now 2 lockdowns in New Zealand over 2 years, like I'm just like, things are only going to get worse. And they say that our economy's getting better, and we are resilient in terms of how we bounce back, but I'm sure we won't see the flow-on effects for a few years now. And those flow-on effects will affect our kids, and that's when we will start to see the true, impact of what COVID has actually done to us. So, I do. It does strike me as a problem, and a problem that I'm trying to constantly have conversations with people about that can do something about it. But we're on a long journey, I think.
So one of the other things you did early on in this with your platform is that you shared your journey of getting out of debt. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and why you decided to do that so publicly?
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, a massive part of, I guess, the negative part of a financial journey is debt. A lot of people, like, I talked about it as our like dirty little secret kind of thing, because like debt comes with shame, because obviously there's an affordability factor. So when you have debt, it's normally because you can't afford something in cash. And so for me, being able to shed some light on the fact that actually, okay, debt is bad. Well, most debt is bad. There are good forms of debt, but being able to share the fact that everybody has debt and that there are ways that you can proactively get rid of it and manage it better, it was really important to me to share and be educational about as I did it. So I pretty much took, I calculated all our debt pretty much and put it up on my platform, which is quite a vulnerable
very
thing.
Vulnerable thing.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable thing to do. It's like putting your undies on the line and your neighbours seeing them. It's quite, it's quite a shameful thing. However, I wanted people to realise that it's actually not a shameful thing, and that it's something that we can have conversations with our friends, family, neighbours, people about, so that other people can give you advice on how to get ahead. Because if I hadn't gone and found or sought advice on how to get ahead, like, that debt would have cost me thousands more than what it would have originally cost me. So I started sharing how we paid it off, what we did each month to be able to lower the number. And as each month went on, I'd share the new number. We had a goal to pay off our debt. We didn't have a lot of, I wouldn't say, like, in terms of what I've seen debt-wise around, we didn't have heaps. We had about, I think it was 17,000. It was like a car, some glasses that cost me $700, which I shouldn't have bought anyway. I could have bought cheaper ones. Just some like silly things that, I could have managed better. So I just put them out there, and I told people pretty much how we pay them off, but also how to look at your terms and conditions, how to look at your debt and be like, right, this one here I should pay off quicker than this one because this is costing me more. And that just enabled people to look at their own debt and think smarter about how they manage theirs, because I think no one talks about that stuff. We talk about shares and how to get ahead and how to buy shares and how to invest your money, but no one really talks about that other side of things, which is actually how do you get out of debt to be able to even think about investment, how to get to that other side. Because I mean, a lot of the times when you think about even like Afterpay and lay-by, I know a lot of people use it as a way to budget their money or to manage their money and to be able to afford things, but it can be something that actually stops you from doing those types of things. If you were proactively budgeting, you actually wouldn't need those platforms. And I think they're great platforms if you're using them in the right way, because sometimes you do need them, but at the same time, I had hundreds of dollars in lay-by that I would do Afterpay that I just thought was so normal. But when you think about it, and the way that the banks look at it, and the way that the banks will look at your overall spending, they're not looking at it in terms of, okay, how is this person, where does their money go? They're actually looking at it to look at what your downfalls are and where they can catch you out, so they don't have to loan to you or they don't have to give you money. So Sam and I, we've got good debt now. We've got what I consider good debt. We've got a credit card that we use positively. We make sure that it's always paid off. We're always getting to the minimum payments, and we're using it to gain rewards points, which allows us to pretty much use the bank's money, so that we can gain extra money to buy other things that are essential to us, like kids' clothes, Christmas presents, things like that, that we don't try to spend too much on, but still want our kids to have what we probably didn't have when we grew up. So there are forms of good debt. Not all debt is bad debt, but being able to shed a light on what those look like and how people can get ahead, that's how the whole journey started for us. And I think people really, they resonated with that, because again, like, everyone's got it. Like, I mean, you can't tell me someone who doesn't have it or hasn't had it before. And if you're coming straight out of high school and you're getting a rent, or like you're trying to rent, people sometimes even loan to get their bond, like, because they just don't know how else to get money. So it was just teaching people how to manage that. If you are going to get that bond so that you can go out and get into the rental market and you're loaning that money from the bank, how do you effectively manage that so you can pay it off quicker, so that it's not sitting over your head for years? So just things like that, I think, is why I started the platform, just to help people get ahead and really share that you can trust me,
Yeah. How much different is your life now than before you did that course?
so much different. Like I can't even, we're sitting here in lockdown and we've got a business, as I mentioned earlier. We've got 2 employees who we absolutely adore, and we like obviously have a responsibility to continue to pay those employees over this lockdown, which is a massive responsibility. You're not only looking after your own family and your own kids, but you're looking after someone else's family and their kids, and making sure that they've got a roof over their heads over this time as well. And so being able to be in a financial position where I can support other people, that means a lot to me, because I can effectively help them get ahead in their lives. We have already, so for Christmas, we put money aside. It's only $25 a week. We do it into a Pack and Save Christmas Club card. So I think you can do them pretty much, like the classic old Crisco's one. Yeah, but we do it with Pack and Save because we love our local Pack and Save. And so we've done it there. And at Christmas time, we'll have enough money to be able to cover us and maybe a couple other families if we needed to. So just being able to effectively plan like that. Most of the Christmas presents, like normally I'd be stressing at Christmas time. This Christmas, like even in lockdown, I've already done most of our Christmas shopping. It's pretty much done. Like just being able to effectively plan like that. It's being financially capable, not stable. It's not even about that. It's just being financially capable. So understanding my financial situation has allowed me to really plan for the future so that I can give my kids something that I didn't have. And it doesn't mean that I'm giving them more than what I had. I'm not trying to give them, the world. I'm just trying to give them the basics and do it in a savvy way that allows me to have more, to be able to give more. My mum used to say to me growing up, when she used to be like, I really want you to be rich one day. And I'd be like, I don't want to be rich. What does rich give? It doesn't give me happiness. Can't buy me happiness or anything like that. And she would always say to me, it won't buy you happiness, but it will give you the opportunity to help other people. And that's what you should do it for. And it's not like, I'm 28 now, and it's only been this year that I've been like, oh my gosh, she was right. Like money doesn't buy me happiness. It buys me stability. And there is some short-term happiness there, but it actually gives me a bigger opportunity to be able to provide for people out there that don't have the opportunity to do that for themselves, and do it in a way that I don't need to blow my trumpet about it. I can just do it without even thinking, and that's what I'm in it for, to teach my kids those morals and those ethics about, this is why we're doing it. We're not doing it for ourselves. We're actually doing it for the bigger community type thing. So honestly, I can't thank my past self enough.
Yeah, awesome. I love that that idea about being generous. I guess a misconception that I've heard in the past is that if you get all into budgeting and everything, you end up being tight.
Yeah.
I've found the opposite of that actually knowing where your money is gives you more opportunity to be generous.
Exactly.
Actually, a funny story, when Bex and I got engaged, we put our money together to save for the wedding.
Yeah.
And of course, having a joint bank account now meant, we had to agree on what we were going to spend that joint money on. And I'd grown up in a house where my mum's a budget advisor and my dad's an accountant.
Oh, wow.
And so I had some skills. I guess I thought I was a real slacker because I wasn't doing it as well as my mum and dad. But it turned out that actually I was streaks ahead of most other people.
Yeah.
Whereas Bex had grown up never having done a budget in her life. And,
yeah.
So we decided, okay, well, let's have a budget. And up till then, we hadn't actually, I'd stopped budgeting for a while, and Bex would say, let's go to the movies. And I'd be like, I don't know if I can afford it at the moment, and whatever. And then we made this budget, and she wasn't convinced about making the budget, to be fair. I had to do a lot of work going, no, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then she'd go, oh, let's go to the movies. And I'd look up and go, all right, there's money in my entertainment budget. Great, let's go. She'd be like, really? And she felt this real freedom in this thing she thought was going to be really restrictive.
Yeah.
The other benefit for us actually is that we started budgeting, and we were talking about how much discretionary spending a week we'd have for spending on lunches and coffees and things like that. And I'd suggested 50, and she talked me up to 70 each for buying lunches and things, because she, at that stage, she was always buying her lunch when she was out and stuff. And then later that year we got married, and 4 months after we got married, we both left our jobs and went to study together. And so the next year, our discretionary spending was $5 a week each.
Oh my goodness!
And which was just hilarious thinking of it now, that she'd taught me from 50 up to 70, and the next year we got down to
down 5.
but we could do that because we'd spent that time working together on the money thing,
Yeah.
and we knew actually this is going to be okay. You know, we can work at this. We're going to have we had less than half of one of our incomes. Essentially, we both left full time jobs and
Wow.
ended up with about a quarter of the income.
Yeah.
Survived the year earning like $300 and something a week and paying ourselves out of some savings that we had.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, it was, you know, budgeting is one of those things that actually brings some freedom with it. You know that. And I think that's, like I say, that's a huge misconception, is that people think budgeting it makes you tighter, but it actually, in my experience, makes you more free. Um,
Yeah. I could not
so
agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more because honestly, like I think and that's I always try to have that as my kind of selling point when I'm talking to people about their budgets. I'm like, well, like wouldn't it be easier for you to know where your money's going so that you can know exactly
mm,
how much extra money you have to spend? I mean, I buy, well, now I do. When I first started budgeting, I didn't buy a coffee every day. I do buy a coffee every day now, but it's because I know where all my money's going. So I can
yeah,
still enjoy the luxuries that I
yeah,
love about my life.
yeah,
But I can do it knowing that actually at Christmas time, I'm going to have money to be able to do my shopping for 3 months
yeah,
and not have to worry about that because, you've managed your money so effectively that it's not a concern. It's actually a
yeah.
freedom for you. Yeah, I couldn't, honestly, that's,
Mm,
if anyone gets anything out of this podcast today, I hope it's that you're budgeting just to have some luxuries later on down the track.
yeah, yeah. Thinking about the debt side of things, where do you see that we could do better as a society to help people not end up in debt?
Oh, wow. Hit me with the tough questions. I there's a lot that we could do in terms of helping people understand their debt and their options. And I think a lot of it comes from when people sign up for their debts. As a society, I think we rush people through these loan applications, or we rush them through what their options are, essentially not giving them all the options.
Yeah,
And I understand that banks do that for a reason, and loan sharks do that for a reason. They want the highest interest rate that they
totally.
can get. But
Yeah,
at the same time, it's only going to negatively affect us. I mean, the more money we loan out, the less money we're going to have later on. And with COVID and things like that, it's it really worries me. That we're not having conversations with our younger population about what their options are while they're in high school, what their options are, especially when they're working, to be
yeah,
able to save, to be able to put away, to be able to invest their money early while they have
yeah,
no other outgoings, teaching them how to invest
yeah,
and invest correctly, whether that's in KiwiSaver, whether it's in a Sharesies fund, whether it's whatever it might be, so that they can make some passive income from an early age and then push that passive income into areas that will require them to spend money later but has been earning them money this whole time.
yeah,
I went to a kernel investing seminar a couple of weeks ago, just before lockdown. It was so good. And they were talking about how financially and economically we've changed from, I don't know if you remember, is it Nigel Leder did that video
yeah,
or that TV series, and he did one on money and about how at compound interest, when you put your money into the bank, into a savings account
yeah,
or term deposit, you get 10% on it. That's really unrealistic now, because you'd
yeah,
never get
totally.
that.
It's like one point something, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd be lucky if you get
Yeah,
1% back over a certain amount of years.
yeah,
And so, talking about how, yeah, if you're saving money in a bank, you're actually going to lose money long term. And I think that's such a shift from what we're used to
yeah.
talking
Well,
about, because I know, yeah, me growing up, my parents would say, put your money in a savings account, put your money in a savings account,
yeah,
you'll always get your money
yeah,
back. Whereas now, actually, you're not going to get anything back. The economy's changed, which means that our
yeah,
people will go into debt a lot earlier because they won't know how to invest or they don't know how to do it. And so, yeah, for me, it's less about talking about the whole debt culture. Even though I talk about that a lot, I think that helping
mm,
people that are in that position now and giving them the educational tools to get out of it is really important.
yeah,
But I think it's
yeah,
being more proactive on the other side with our younger people, which is what I'm really passionate about, and teaching
yeah,
them that actually, while you have no outgoings, and if you are making
yeah,
some kind of a incoming, if you've got some income stream already, learning how to manage that money and effectively investing it somewhere that allows you to get a return for when you need that money I wish someone had told me that earlier, because if I'd known that earlier, I probably wouldn't have had as much debt as I did have, and I wouldn't have got it as quick as I could. And so that, for me, that's where I stand on that, because we can be as reactive as we want to be, but if we can't be proactive to start with, then we're not being part of the solution at the moment. And just knowing that, now you can't save any money in a savings account, I wonder how many young people out there realize that, and how many people realize that they're actually going to lose money if they do that. Whereas if they invest their money and they find some smart ways of investing, which, I mean, all the information is at the click of a fingertips now. Social media's out there. You've got Sharesies, Hatch, you've got all these platforms that share how you can do things. And I think rather than watching Netflix, people should be, educating themselves on how to do that. I'm a victim to Netflix, so I can put my hand up here and say I need to be taking my own advice, but it is easy to fall victim to that. But like I said, information's out there. It's how you go about looking for it, and then making sure that you're, pretty much taking control of your future, really. So that's where I stand on all that.
Yeah, cool. You've got this platform. You've been sharing this kind of content. Apart from getting more followers, what sort of response have you received from people? What sort of stories have you heard back from people?
Well, I mean, first of all, if any of my followers out there are listening, they'll know that I'm horrible at replying to messages. I'm forever sorry. I am very busy. But I've had some, over the last couple of years, I've had some pretty big messages, I can say, in terms of when my followers message me to tell me some of the milestones they've hit. I know that some of the girls that I know that have followed me have bought homes, they've paid off debt, they've done some pretty massive things just with a few small tools and understanding what their options are. I don't try to present on my platform all the answers, and if I'm ever wrong, I'm the first to admit that and put my hand up and be like, okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. My main objective is to share other platforms or to share other educational tools that allow them to get to success. So whether that be great mortgage brokers or whether that be really great financial capability services, whatever that looks like, my goal is to share that so that they can use those platforms and then gain their success. But I've had girls purchase, or families purchase, homes before, and they've messaged me to tell me, oh, we've just purchased our first home, we're so excited. Or just send me really, really nice messages to say that they're so grateful that I've even started sharing, because if I didn't start sharing, then they wouldn't have known that they needed to think about those types of things in life, which I think for me, that's my goal, right? Is to share so that so I can plant a seed, and I'm not the answer, but they need to go and look for what the answer is, because it's not a one size fits all. And with money, it never really is. Some people follow me because they own a business. Some people follow me because of their personal financial situations. Some people just follow me because they're mums, and they're just wanting to learn how to meal prep better, because I love meal prepping. That's something that I just have always just loved doing. But I suppose I don't really share messages that often when people send me messages like that, because I think that's between, me and that person. But I guess if I was ever to screenshot them and put them somewhere, they'd probably, my followers inspire me the most. And I'm really, really grateful that I have that many people following me, because it actually also allows me to have a platform where I can create content for other businesses that also gives me an income stream. So I am very, very grateful, and my followers do give me a lot of opportunity. So I'm very grateful for everything that I've got through this platform. It's been a blessing, and I make really cool friends. For me, Instagram's about being able to connect with cool small businesses and do my piece to give back, but also to create really cool friendships. And I've created some really, really cool friendships through this platform that I never thought would be possible with like-minded people. And that's probably been my biggest win from this whole thing, is okay, cool, I can inspire people, and I can make really cool friends that are like-minded, that inspire me every day to be the best version of me, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great. What other opportunities have you got from being, you started doing this financial sharing and stuff. Has that given you opportunities outside of Instagram? Any kind of work opportunities or things like that?
Yeah. So I obviously, like, on Instagram I do work for businesses, or I guess brands. So if brands approach me, I do some work opportunity. I do take on some work
Yeah.
opportunity where I will send like a media kit, or I will charge to be posting and giving them the platform to advertise on my platform.
Yeah.
But outside of that, probably one of my most exciting opportunities that I've had is to be able to serve on one of our local financial capability services. So Manawatu Home Budgeting Service in our local town, they're a small charity that does financial capability one-on-one sessions and group sessions with, different organisations, high schools, heaps of different things. And so I'm now on the board with like 5 other people, and just being able to be part of that has been really cool, because I can actually give back to my community. And I think the last year since I've had Eden, I've spent pretty much a year now on the board serving and being able to help them come up with their social media strategy, work through what that looks like and how they can get their message out there. And they're actually, unlike me, they're qualified financial mentors. So it's kind of cool to be
Yeah.
able to give them more education around what social media looks like, so that they can get on there and they can do their thing, but actually we can all get, spread the message quicker, and do it in a more effective but also qualified way, where I can really work alongside them and do that. I'm quite passionate about that, as being in my community. Like, that's something I try to share a lot on my platform about, as well as like serving in our Pacifica community, but also in our financial capability space, trying to get people ahead as much as we can. That's probably been my biggest opportunity. I mean, I've been invited to speak at different events and do cool things like that, and I'm always grateful for those opportunities, because I'm always like, why would you ask me? I'm just like this little person from Palmerston North. Like, I don't know what I have to add. Like, how can I add value to that? I honestly surround myself with people who I think are absolutely amazing, so I do often compare myself to them. And so when I think about those opportunities that I get, I'm like, why wouldn't you ask blah 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 or blah blah blah? So to get opportunities like that is also massive. But I think when it comes to serving my own community, I will never pass up an opportunity to be able to get my hands dirty and get right in there and be a part of that, mission to hopefully one day getting more of our message in many different languages to different people in our Pacifica community and to our high school kids.
Yeah. Last time I talked to you, you were doing something around Pacifica churches as well?
Yeah, so there was previously a fund that went through PGF, so it's a government organisation. They do, it was through Ministry of Business and Innovation, doing some funding towards Pacifica churches. So it was previously a funding pool that went specifically to local maraes, which is really awesome, and they still do it for local maraes. It's for repairing maraes and being able to fix up maraes. And so they give a certain amount of funding to be able to repair whatever it was that needed repairing. So they opened it up after COVID last year, or was it last year, a year and a half ago, to Pacifica churches. And so here in Palmy, we got the opportunity to be part of that. So currently I'm project managing one church here in Palmerston North that is getting some renovations done to be able to help our local Pacifica community be able to congregate and find a safe place here in our local town. Not all churches were approved, unfortunately. There's only a certain amount of funds, and with COVID and everything, they can't always provide for everybody. But the one church that we did manage to get across the line, will get the opportunity to have a, cooler place to be able to congregate and find as their safe place. For Pacific Islanders, church is our hub. Church traditionally is the place where we find the safest. It's the place where we connect, we, mingle, and we find solace. So to be able to do that has been awesome. It's been awesome to be able to connect with that community, and be able to project manage that. Obviously with COVID at the moment, we're not doing anything. So that was an awesome opportunity as well. And I think any opportunity for me to serve, as you know from our sister event, for me service is a really important part of my life, and teaching my kids to serve in any way that they can. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be with your time, is a really, really important factor for me. And probably deeply ingrained from when I was younger. But it's just an opportunity for you to, really do as you say you're going to do and show up for people that really need you to show up. Because these days not enough people do it genuinely, and not enough people do it, in general.
Yeah. I love that you have prioritized that serving and that giving, but also that you've, as you've become more savvy in your own financial skills, and it's given you the ability to then pass that on to others. In terms of what the podcast is all about, you're an ordinary mum who's going, hey, this advice really helped me. You guys should look into getting this advice too. And I love that you're not trying to be the place where everyone has to come to get all of that, whereas you're just helping people think about that well and go, right, there's actually resources. You'll need to do some work for yourself, but there are people out there who are willing to share that with you. When you look back and think of like your journey so far, what is it that you'd like to be remembered for?
Oh, over the years, I have learnt that other people's opinion of me is not my business, and it's not a fact, because other people's opinion of me is based on what they see in their short snippets. They're not with me 24/7. They don't fully know me because I haven't allowed them into that space. But when I think of if there is anything that I want to leave behind or be known for, it's for my kids, really. It's for them to know that I gave them every opportunity to do everything that they wanted to do, but also to teach them to do everything that they say they're going to do, to show up for their people, to be loyal, and to know that their mother always did that for them, that I was always there 100%, whether I was working for them, whether I was cooking for them, whether I was, inviting their friends over, even though I didn't want to, whatever that looks like. I think that's what I want to leave behind, is that I did everything in my power to be the best mum and the best wife that I could be, because my legacy carries on through these people. These little people, they will become little versions of me and my husband. Don't know whether that's fortunate or unfortunate, but whatever that looks like. I think that's, for me, that's what I want to be, remembered. I want people to remember that about me, is that I was a bloody good mum, and I chose to be that first and foremost. Even though I love serving my family is the most important thing to me. And I've learnt over the years that, especially through my own parents and through my husband's parents, who have been absolute pillars in our journey, is that showing up for your family is like A1. You can't, there's no other way, because those people know you 24/7. Hey, like, they're around you all the time. They see the real you. And if you're not the same you at home as you are when you're serving other people, then there's not really, don't go serving other people if you ain't serving your own house first. So I think that's it for me. Bit cliche, but hey, each to their own.
If people wanted to connect with you, to follow you, where do they go?
Cool. So I am really only on Instagram, but I am the Manus, which is TheManuss. And I'm, like I mentioned earlier, I don't always respond to messages, but I am there and I am present. I try to share a lot. You can find me on Instagram. If you want to look me up on Facebook, I'm there too, but I'm not that active. Or you can check out Manawatu Home Budgeting Service, which is an awesome financial capability service, free for you in the Manawatu. Or even if you're nationwide, we can Zoom you in and get you some support too.
And I'll put those in the show notes for people, so they've got a nice easy link to find you.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for taking the time out of a lockdown with your family to be able to have this conversation, and thank you for sharing your life online in the ways that you do. I know so many people have been inspired by your journey out of debt, by your being a mum, and sharing the resiliency and the financial advice that you have gained. And so, thank you for what you're doing to help to bring a bit of heaven down to earth.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been nice to talk.
Hello, hello heaven. Will I hear you
Thanks, Courtney, for sharing your life with the world. The things that you learn about money, about business, about whānau. I really appreciate your genuineness and your willingness to categorically say family first, but then also your heart that allows you to plan your life to be generous to those around you. Here is a blessing for you. Courtney, as you continue to share your life on Instagram, may you receive far more than followers. May you receive joy and aroha as you hear of how your journey is helping the lives of others. As you continue to be vulnerable, may that vulnerability breed compassion in you and those you connect with. And may that energy spent in being vulnerable be returned to you in abundance as you make a difference in the world. As you make an effort to live a life of service and love, may your children grow to show the same spirit as their mum, knowing how to look after their own, but also give out to others expecting nothing back. May your business and your platform continue to flourish even as lockdowns and the unpredictability of the world give you a setback or two. And lastly, in the midst of the busyness of family, business, Instagram, project managing, being on boards, along with the million other things that you get involved with, may you know joy and may you know rest. A chance just to be, being present for yourself and your whānau, and giving you energy for the journey ahead. Thanks to Strahan for the music and Rangi for the karakia. Thanks to you all for listening. Like I said, please share these episodes if you find them helpful. Join me next time when I talk to founder of My Father's Barbers and She Is Not Your Rehab, Mateo Matt Brown. We talk hair art, vulnerability, anger, shame, being present, and so much more. Until then, me inoi tātou.
E tō mātou matua I te rangi, kia tapu tō ingoa, kia tau mai tō rangatiratanga, kia mea te tau e pai ai ki runga ki te whenua, kia rite anō ki tō te rangi. Homai kia mātou ai nei, he taro mā mātou mō tēnei rā. Muro mātou hara, me mātou hoki e muru nei I o te hunga, e hara ana kia mātou. Aua hoki mātou e kawea, kia whakawaia. Engari whakaorangi a mātou I te kino. Amen.